Mel, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I got a few chart requests coming my way. I'm gonna do a quick video, probably a lot easier than just typing them up. One is NNE. NNE is requested by one of my members on YouTube. And if you just do a quick look at what it's doing, I mean, basically, descriptive-wise, it had a little bit of double bottom over here. That has worked out very well. It hit the target of double bottom, came back tested this bottom waistline, if you will, and it just went up from there, right? It's a pretty healthy look. It's been forming higher highs and higher lows for the most part. Well, why isn't price really gone up that much over the last couple of weeks, right? I mean, this is really, it's a chart that hasn't really been around for that long. I mean, completely honest, like I think that this chart has really started around like May of this year, so it's only got like about 5 months of price action. So it's a little bit tough to chart something like this. But what I can do is what I did do is to do a Gann chart, and also I can also put up some of the Fibonacci levels here too. But 360 and 5 gives you some really beautiful market symmetry here. And what are you really kind of looking at here, right? Well, you're looking at the price really been trying to break through the horizontal, broke through, backtest horizontal, right? You also can see price are currently just kind of steadily stuck underneath this 45-degree angle, and we just got rejected from it yesterday. Well, the thing about it is if it keeps on riding the 45-degree angle up like this, that means price could potentially just continue to go up. But you also have a few things that are working against it. First of all, you have a bearish divergence, right? Where price just kind of gone up here, but RSI has really kind of, looking kind of tired. So because of this, you probably need to have a little bit more, like maybe a few days at least to kind of work out the bearish divergence. Doesn't mean the price is going to go down a lot, not necessarily. It did make its way through the arc here. So the arc down here is going to be a support here moving forward. You know what else is going to be support? It's going to be the 20-day moving average. It's going to serve as pretty decent support moving forward. And the 20-day moving average is going to enter the arc, right? So you're basically stuck in a range. You're stuck in a range at this angle over here. You're stuck in a range with the 20-day over here. And it's probably just going to consolidate sideways here through time, or maybe even dip underneath the 20-day to backtest, the arc here a little bit more before going up. But because this is all for the most part higher highs and higher lows, I think it's going to push through, right? Now, why else do I think it's going to take a little bit longer before it really is able to do anything, at least a few days? Well, right now it's stuck underneath the daily Ichimoku cloud, right? So because it's stuck underneath the cloud, it means that you're still underneath resistance, and there's potential for it to just kind of bounce from the top of the cloud to the arc, eventually break outside of the cloud over here, and it hits some of the higher targets. Now, it was able to break through the 45-degree angle, which again, you're at resistance, and it seems like it's pretty strong resistance here. I wouldn't just necessarily say it's going to do that, but it looks like it really wants to break through the 45-degree angle, doesn't it? Multiple touches, really wants to break through. If it breaks through this range, then you're talking about, getting back to close to previous all-time high here, which is going to be around like 37.5, or even all the way up to like $40, okay? Which I think is entirely possible because it's looking pretty decent in terms of its price action. Looking at the Fibonacci level, it's going to pull down here. And I think this is based on log scale. So if you look at linear, it's just basically also got, there's another very confluent zone over here, right? This is 0.5 Fibonacci level. Also kind of got rejected around there. But it kind of back tests the 0.382, right? So it might end up range bound between these two levels. Maybe even gone down here a little bit, wick down here a little bit, or just gone down here for like a day or two before going back up. Entirely possible. Higher highs, higher lows. I wouldn't bet against it. So that's NNE. That's NNE. The other one that I was asking, or I was being asked to look at, is a stock called TOST Inc. Now, what do I think about TOST Inc? I'm not going to look at the daily chart for this one because I actually have the benefit of being able to look at the weekly chart. Now, this is one of those stock that has kind of just IPO'd and it just kind of went way down, right? But after it found its bottom on bullish divergence, right? On the weekly here, bullish divergence, very nice bullish divergence. Now you basically have price forming for the most part ever since this high and this low over here has been forming more higher highs and higher lows. And it just kind of formed another higher high, right? One positive thing to look at this, and I think this looks very similar to Robinhood. I'm going to show you why. Like price just kind of gone up, right? And RSI kind of gone down. You would initially, you might be a little bit more worried about like a bearish divergence, but hey, guess what? You broke above this trend line over here, which should mean something, right? Another thing it broke above was it broke above the 0.5 over here, which tells me I think price probably ended up gravitating up towards either the arc over here or the angle up here. And I think that the next step for it to go is probably up, is what I'm thinking. The couple other things here too, in addition to, yeah, I'm going to show you like what I mean by that. Like Robinhood had the very similar look to it. And initially I was worried, hey, price kind of gone up on bearish divergence. Sure enough, the bearish divergence here worked out with price kind of tangled our way back down here to like the mid-teens in August, right? But right now you really have a breakout of this RSI trend line over here, right? Which allows price to kind of go up a lot higher. I think Robinhood and TOST have very similar look to it in terms of the technicals. They just look very similar. And if you're looking at TOST, I think that at this point you are more or less above, you're above the Ichimoku cloud, right? So you're more or less above a lot of support because it's been forming higher highs and higher lows, and it's been breaking the 0.5. So far this week, it's been breaking out of the RSI trend line. I do think the next move is probably going to end up going up. I do think maybe another like a few, like couple dollars, maybe $3 or so, somewhere around there, before it hits resistance again. Now, when it hits resistance, we'll see how it reacts, right? Because you did have a breakout here, but you also want to take a look at the volume, see what it does. If the volume continues to be low on the way up, then you might end up getting rejected, and it might come back test the 0.5, or even potentially down here at the horizontal zone or here around like 27.5, somewhere around there. But I think the next move is probably going to be up, and we have to see how it reacts over here at the arc and also the angle. And that's when you really are able to kind of tell what your next move is going to be. But yeah, if you want to like look at targets, I don't even like want to talk about it. I think based on this chart, based on the fact that it's been kind of forming higher highs and higher lows, I think it's similar to Hood. I think it's going to break and hit some of these higher targets up here over time. But I don't even really want to like talk about that. The next up is going to be around like the 20s. Sorry, the low 30s, and then we'll see what happens. But it's a bullish chart. It's a bullish chart. If you just zoom out, and I'm going to take away the Gann chart here. If you just zoom out, I mean, yeah, the move has been going up on declining volume. That never really bothers me, though. I think that's it. Probably again of getting rejected, probably had to come back down, and stock can go up a lot higher in declining volume. Like look at Shopify. Shopify has just been going up on like low volume, so like that never really bothers me. I think selling low volume selling is more telling than low volume buying, and also just kind of look and see like is this overextended? No, it's within the Bollinger Band, the upper Bollinger Band and lower Bollinger Band expanding. 20-moving average is curling up, right? And it's not overextended at all. It's actually a very healthy bull trend. Is the weekly overextended? No, it was about like 4 weeks ago, right? And it got rejected down here. But like so far, it's not really overextended. It also got that Bollinger Band expansion look to it. So it's going to go up higher. In terms of the exact trajectory, when it gets up to like the 32, 33 zone, what's it going to do? I don't know. Like I think most likely I'm getting some rejection. They have to come back test. Is it going to back test all the way to like the 30 psychological level? Is going to go back test down like 27.5 somewhere in there. I don't think anybody really knows the answer to that. But regardless, if you're patient in this, I think that is going to work out pretty well for you probably over the next 12 to 18 months, just because of very nice bull trends developing. And usually these bull trend, once they start, they don't just like stop, So I think that they probably want to, just kind of keep going up a lot higher. Got a request for Upstart. Upstart, I'm just going to say right off the bat, it looks very similar, right? Basically, but instead of having a Bollinger Band expansion, you have a little bit of Bollinger Band contraction here. But you also have reclaimed this 20-month moving average from resistance to support. And are we overextended? No. On the monthly, it's not overextended. Are we overextended here on a lower time frame on the weekly? Well, initially it was, but then you kind of got rejected from the upper Bollinger Band, right? But guess what? The buying volume, this move up over here, is on the increasing volume. This is quite telling. It tells me that I think Upstart wants to continue up. And on the weekly Bollinger Band, it looks like it's very nicely spread out. It looks like it just wants to keep going up higher, right? So that's kind of what I'm seeing here with Upstart. The other thing, I mean, you can look at like Ichimoku. It broke above the Ichimoku cloud on increasing volume. That's also quite telling. And if you also are looking at like the monthly here, it broke about the Tenkan and Kijun. You don't quite have the monthly bullish cross quite just yet, but it's coming. Overall, I think this is a pretty bullish looking chart. It's been forming a big cup here and small cup over here. It just looks like it wants to challenge the cloud, like the premature cloud up here, the leading span A up here around like maybe like in the 1 teens at some point, maybe around 2025. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Are we hitting any major bearish divergences that you need to worry about? Well, let's look. Just pull up the RSI here. The answer is no, and price just can't go up, but RSI is also going up. Doesn't really seem to be that crazy heated, around 70s here on the weekly. On the monthly, the RSI is still like neutral, is around like the mid 50s. So I still think that this thing probably has a lot more room to go up. But let's look and see in a finer manner by looking at perhaps the Fibonacci here. Are we hitting some resistance soon? I think we are. I mean, right now we are hitting the Bollinger Band resistance, not Bollinger Band. Yeah, we're hitting the Bollinger Band resistance. But I think eventually, price probably end up grabbing around around $65, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit lower, low 60s, because that's where price would probably end up grabbing into, right? You broke about the cloud, you also broke out the arc over here, and you're gonna get up there. Now, what happens when it gets up there to around $65 zone? Well, it could go past it and go up to the 70s, but I think that's probably gonna end up getting rejection somewhere around here, either around 65 or somewhere out here like in the 70s all the way up to 80. Somewhere around here. It's going to come back and back test some stuff. If it gets rejected around like $65, probably going to come back to the cloud and back test the cloud around like 40s. If it gets through that and it gets through into the arc over here, it might just simply back test the 0.136 here, which is around around $65. So we'll see what it wants to do. But regardless, this is a bullish chart, and I think it's going to push through a lot higher potentially. It can even push through the arcs up here and go up a lot higher. I would not be surprised by that. The reason why I say that is because you have buying on increasing volume. You had a breakout, and you have something called a katana here that is starting to work out. Whenever you have the fusion of this Tenkan and Kijun, the red and blue over here, and you come out on the bullish side, and you start having the expansion over here of between the Tenkan and Kijun, usually things keep going up for a while. I just made a separate video about it. Please check it out. But I think that is probably going to go up, for the foreseeable future over the next few months, and it's going to be a very, very powerful bull trend that's going to end up transpiring here. Yeah, so I cannot really be that bearish here on Upstart. Do I want to buy? No, because I'm already pretty fintech heavy. But yeah, I think it's probably going to end up hitting some of the higher targets here over time. Again, I think eventually it's going to end up gravitating, maybe in 2025, and gravitating up towards like maybe the 1 teens or even like 100 or somewhere around there. That's probably where price is going to end up going to. Yeah, happy to talk about one last one. This is not a member request. I'm just going to make it quick. ZIM. I have no idea what this is. And the first thing I look at is really just kind of look and see what it did on the Ichimoku cloud. On the Ichimoku cloud, looks bullish. It looks like it just kind of pushed through the weekly Ichimoku cloud from resistance here to support, and it got back kind of close to back test. It never really quite did that, but I think it essentially did a back test. And it looks like it wants to go higher, form a higher high here, form a higher low here, and also looks like you got a little bit of a trend line break here as well. So you got a pretty nice trend line break of the RSI here with a back test, right? So I think the next step is going to be higher. Or am I concerned about the way that it looks? Besides all these indicators here flipping from resistance to support, you look at again here. It also has flipped the arc over here from resistance to support, right? But it's been stuck between the 0.32 and the 0.5. It's still range bound. And there is one concern, is that this looks like big giant down candle, and for the last 2 weeks you're only really just making a slight dent here. So can things keep on pushing up? Sure, but there is something known as like a falling three. Let's say if it turns out that the bulls keep trying, and they end up having decreased volume, you could potentially have a pretty red candle come back down to test the 0.382 again. You could potentially have it going back down to like 17.6, somewhere around there. if you don't have enough volume kind of picking up, because I also don't like these big volume selling. I would like to see a little bit more big volume buying. Yeah, so be a little bit more cautious, but overall is a bullish chart. Short term, I don't know, right? I could call price target, but I'm probably going to end the video right here. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.